distinguished guests, honoured veterans, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honoured and privileged to speak to you today on behalf of the Commander of Air Force Training Group, Air Commodore Jeff Harland, AM CSC, who is absent on duty and sends his regrets. Recently, a friend told me about when he landed at RAF Binbrook 3 decades ago during his exchange tour with the RAF. He recalled there being literally hundreds of RAAF veterans of Bomber Command there on that Sunday afternoon, making their pilgrimage to the United Kingdom to honour their dead mates and the role that Australian aircrew played in Bomber Command operations. What a different story it is today, with the relentless passage of time taking these veterans from their kith and kin. As Paul has said already, recently our patron, Wing Commander Peter Isaacson, AM, DFC, AFC, DFM, was laid to rest, and he is missed sorely by all who knew him. Today there are so few veterans of Bomber Command still with us, and we are privileged indeed to have a handful of those here today. We thank you for being here and for that generation of Australian and other Commonwealth airmen that you represent. When these veterans were serving in Bomber Command, they would have had few thoughts about the concerns of growing old. Their young lives were laid at death's door daily, and death harvested these fine young men of all types and from all backgrounds with no reluctance at all and in large numbers. We modern airmen find it nearly impossible to comprehend the operational scenarios they faced and the enormous challenge of just staying there, staying alive, uninjured, and persevering in the face of incredible odds. As Churchill said, Bomber Command, for over 2 years, carried the war alone to the heart of Germany, bringing hope to the occupied peoples of Europe and to the enemy a taste of the mighty power that was rising against him. We are fortunate indeed today that veterans wrote down their experiences. In doing so, they preserve many aspects of that campaign. These accounts give us today some understanding of what they had to do on a nightly and daily basis, despite our generation being so far removed by time and accustomed as we are to enduring peace. Here is but one account of one crew's experience of the battle for the Ruhr. Late on the night of the 26th of April 1944, Lancasters headed for Essen in the middle of the Ruhr. Almost over the target, Vic, our bomb aimer, took over and began the familiar left, left, steady, right, steady, right, bomb doors open, steady, bomb's gone, steady for photo. They had to have a photograph taken of where their bomb struck. This was a requirement of the operation. When the 14,000 pounds of bombs fell away, the aircraft leapt upwards. A moment later, with the bomb doors still open and the aircraft steady on course, the plane rocked as a shower of bombs hit us from a Lancaster just over our heads. Fortunately, the 4,000-pound bomb missed us, or we would have been blown to kingdom come. We were hit by a shower of incendiaries, which immediately knocked out one engine and badly damaged another, so that it was useless and the propeller could not be feathered, greatly increasing the drag on one side of the plane. A third motor was hit but kept going on reduced power. Another incendiary damaged the starboard fuel tank but did not set it alight. Yet another smashed the hydraulic system, which operated the bomb doors, undercarriage and flaps. By a miracle, no one was hit. The Lancaster had started to dive away to port, and the pilot and engineers struggled and brought the plane under control. With limited control and lack of speed, the skipper opted for a direct flight to base, even though we would be on our own across Germany. Losing altitude as we approached the Dutch coast, we decided on the long sea crossing, hoping to maintain enough height to make England. With the bomb doors wide open, the bomb inspection covers had blown off, and an icy gale whistled through the cabin. On 2 motors and the third propeller windmilling adding to the drag, we could go no faster than 140 miles per hour. At 03:45 hours, we crossed the darkened coast of Lincolnshire at 1,500 feet and turned for the short leg to base. In sight of the base beacon, the third motor stopped. Bob at once feathered the engine and we began to lose what little altitude we had left. We were now down to 600 feet above the Wolds. Bob called up flying control and asked for an emergency landing. To our incredulity and disgust, we were refused and told to go away to an emergency airfield in East Anglia. Because we were arriving at the same time as the rest of the squadron, flying control didn't want the runway blocked by a crashed aircraft. Bob Wade, with an understandable temper outburst at this callous unconcern for a Lancaster in such dire straits, told flying control a few Australian adjectives and ignored the instructions and continued the approach, telling Harry to operate the emergency lever to lower the undercarriage. Only the right wheel came down, and when an attempt was made to retract it, it remained down. So, with one engine working, one propeller windmilling, the bomb doors open, no flaps, one wheel up and one wheel down, and too low to bail out, our only option was to ride the Lancaster to the ground. Not wanting to block the runway after telling control he was coming in whether they liked it or not, Bob lined up some 300 yards to the right. Even though it was very dark off to the side of the runway, he began the short final approach with no flaps to maintain lift at our low speed and holding the right wing low to counterbalance the dead engines. The Lancaster touched down on one wheel and ran along the grass at about 100 miles per hour while Bob fought in the dark to keep the left wing up as long as possible. As the speed dropped, Bob shut off the last throttle. Suddenly the left wing touched the ground and immediately the aircraft ground looped violently, spinning across the grass and finally coming to rest in the middle of the runway, right in the path of another Lancaster which is on the point of touching down. As our aircraft came to rest, there was a wild scramble to get clear in case the damaged fuel tank caught fire. First man out got stuck in the escape hatch, but was quickly shoved out by those following. Scrambling down the fuselage, we ran for our lives. In the glow of the searchlight, the fire truck and ambulance raced across the grass, but we did not hear them because of the shattering roar of the engines of the Lancaster which had just touched down. Faced with a wrecked Lancaster in the middle of the runway, the pilot gunned his motors to emergency power and slowly struggled over our heads to safety. As the roar of the climbing aircraft died away, even though I was about 40 yards away, I knew Bob was still alive, as I could hear him cursing and swearing as he turned off the switches. This was just one of so many terrifying incidents for Bomber Command crews, and please note that none of their troubles were caused by the Luftwaffe. When you add in the deadly effect of the German air defence, it's little wonder that only 1 in 4 had a chance of surviving their tour of duty. To counter the Luftwaffe, Bomber Command initiated technical and operational advances that sought to use sensors, navigational techniques, and integration of combat forces to the optimum effect. Countermeasures bomb aiming and radar capabilities with strange sounding names like Monica, G, Boozer, Oboe, Village Inn, Airborne Cigar, Grocer, H2S, Fish Pond, Sabs, Jostle, Mandrel, Pipe Rack, Perfectos, Serrate, Corona, Carpet, Lucero and Tinsel became part of the expanding modern bomber fleet. Introduction of the Pathfinder Force achieved radical improvements in bombing accuracy. In response to these Bomber Command initiatives, Adolf Galland, commander of the German Air Defence, said, "The combination of the Pathfinder's operations, the activities of number 100 Group, the British advantage in radar jamming and window techniques, combined with the intelligent attacking tactics, as well as the discipline and bravery of the RAF crews, had been remarkable. We had our severe problems in trying to defend Germany in the air." In so many ways, the current Royal Australian Air Force initiatives under Plan Jericho to achieve a fifth-generation modern fighting force based on network-centric warfare using sensors, communications and integration at the highest level can be traced back to Bomber Command foundations. Despite their best efforts, the RAF losses were massive. It is hard for us to make sense of them. 55,573 dead and 10,999 prisoners of war out of a total attacking force of some 125,000. Rather, it is easier to bring the context down to considering just one unit to see the horror of it all. Number 460 Squadron, RAAF, where Jan's husband served, was stationed at RAF Binbrook and operated Lancaster aircraft. It had flown over 6,000 sorties by Anzac Day 1945. It had been involved in some of the largest raids on Berlin, Hamburg and over the industrial Ruhr Valley. Losses for the squadron had been devastating. Over 1,000 killed, around 200 taken prisoner, and approximately 180 aircraft lost on operations. 3,486 Australians died in Bomber Command operations. 1/5 of all Australian war dead from all services in World War II. A further 650 Australians died training in the United Kingdom. A BBC correspondent, Richard Dimbleby, completed an amazing 19 sorties as a non-combatant observer over occupied Europe and Germany with Bomber Command to bring the reality of what they were doing to the British people. He said, "They are taking the war right into Germany. They have been attacking, giving their lives in attack since the first day of the war. Per ardua ad astra is the RAF motto, through hardship to the stars. I understand that hardship now, and I'm proud to have seen the stars with them. I doubt we here and now will or can ever understand fully their experience and sacrifice. All that we can do is to honour them, and especially those precious veterans left to us today." A parish church in Tuddenham, Suffolk has a commemorative plaque for a crew who perished flying on operations from the nearby base. It has only 7 names on it, yet it seems so right as a requiem for all of those who are lost in Bomber Command's massive achievements, their duty nobly done, as Churchill said. Went the day well? we died and never knew. But well or ill, freedom, we died for you. Shall we see their like again, lest we forget?